May my words and reflections be supportive of you in your life's journey and contribute in some small way to the body of insight the world needs now. You may have seen them on the subway, the large boxes to load up your Presto card. This is the new method of payment to ride the TTC these days, the Presto card, replacing the MetroPass, and before that, the token, and before that, the paper ticket. I like the name Presto because it makes getting from place to place seem like magic. And we know it can be anything but, especially on surface level at rush hour. You need to go to school, presto. You need to get to work, presto. You need to get to First Unitarian, wherever the heck it happens to be, presto. Well, we hope it will be as easy as that. It's very attractive, the notion that we can get where we're going if we simply have the right tool or vehicle. The names and the methods change over time, yet all of us continue on this journey of understanding. Meanwhile, the wisdom teachers tell us it is a journey that has no beginning and no end. Seeking knowledge and insight that we might connect with others and serve this world more deeply, we've come now to the end of our Examined Life series, having made 6 important stops along the way. Who am I? Where am I going? Where did I come from? Why me? When, if not now? And what have I done? We are not the only people considering these questions. The Honorable Justice Senator Marie Sinclair of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission feels they are deeply important as well. Calling education a sacred responsibility, Sinclair called all teachers to lead all children, regardless of their heritage, to think about 4 key questions throughout their education. Where do I come from? Where am I going? Why am I here? And most importantly, who am I? Thank you, Donald, for bringing Justice Sinclair's questions to our attention so I could share them with you this morning. We've considered these questions in our sermon series, but of course, we've barely scratched the surface. We've sped through them, not unlike a subway train, moving ever quickly forward, which is, of course, in keeping with the dominant culture in which we live, a culture that values goal-directedness, speed, efficiency, and measurable outcomes. Moving forward in this way, we've arrived at how then shall I live? We're a healthy group this morning, but actually I'm surprised there aren't even more people here this morning if they think that there might be an easy answer to that question, which of course there cannot be. Each of us, each of these questions is worth many hours of contemplation in journaling, dream work, prayer, and conversation. In what's called discernment, the spiritual question that takes place, the spiritual questioning that takes place beneath the surface of our lives. I encourage you to continue to take that time, to live the questions themselves, as the poet Rilke wrote. Today, we'll carve out a short time in the center of this busy service to reflect briefly on this question. How, then, shall I live? Connected to my community and my culture, while being true to my personal values. How, then, shall I live? In a highly secular society, while striving to deepen in my spiritual life. How, then, shall I live? Knowing that my singular life is a miracle, so unlikely in the universe of possibilities. How then shall I live? knowing that the way I live affects others and the earth, and for all time may be short. How then shall I live when I feel discouraged, anxious, angry, or sad? How then shall I live when I know I shall not live for long? How then shall I live knowing that others will come after me? How then shall I live? Before we take a few minutes to reflect quietly on this question, using the blank page included on the green insert in your order of service, I'd like to draw your attention to the wording. It's how shall I live, not how should I. Shall, it seems to me, carries a note of promise, of possibility, not certainty, but mindful intention. Should, on the other hand, can feel heavy, weighted down with expectations, perfectionism, and guilt. I have found that these are not helpful when we are trying to live as best we can. I'm going to ring the singing bowl now and provide about 3 minutes in which you're invited to write or even draw a few simple responses to the question, and then there will be a few minutes to share for anyone who wishes. Anyone who is moved to share anything that they jotted down on their paper. And a reminder that we'll have to be very brief as our service will be coming to a close soon, so just a few short sentences.
Just one sentence. Watch your personal carbon budget, just like you watch your dollar budget.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I want to live more from love than from fear. And that was a message in one of the sermons that really resonated with me. It's very simple, and I think it's something I can do.
Thank you very much.
I'm not trying to copy, but I kind of wrote the same thing. And so it's very short. It's lemons. Greet the challenges of life with grace. Do not internalize setbacks, the actions of others, or what you cannot control. Be happy, determined, and loving. There we go. In all things, loving to people, places, and things. Keep love and creativity at the center.
Thank you.
Since Mark died, I've been thinking, this sermon is almost written for me, so thank you very much. But I think there's a saying that, and I read this somewhere, it's not mine, when there's a will, there's a way, but I like when there's a way, there's a will. And I'm sitting in that silence, thinking about what is the way.
I didn't have a pen. I shall live to always be useful when needed.
Thank you. I hope this will be a starting point of continuing reflection, both personally, but also in groups and in pairs, both today and in future days. Sometimes when I'm walking down the street, I notice that I am holding my Presto card tightly in my pocket, even if I am still blocks away from any subway station. It's a nervous habit. That card safely in my pocket isn't going anywhere, but I like to remind myself that it is. My hope for you is that on your continuing journey of self-discovery, that you hold fast to what moves you, to what you find moving, beautiful, compelling, and meaningful, but to what moves you, transports you, carries you, even transforms you, to what moves you toward a life of love received and given. What moves each of us will go by many names and appear to take many different shapes. But I believe that beneath the surface of all of them, there is an underlying web of love, an interplay of being, an essence that embraces and includes each of us and gives us strength. The wisdom teacher Richard Rohr wrote, "The visible world is an active doorway to the invisible world, and the invisible world is much larger than the visible." If we stay connected to the presence beneath the surface of our questions, we may find we arrive at answers we didn't even dream were possible. We may see ourselves face to face in the mirror as if for the first time, and know that we are home. Amen.